Alright everyone, back again. This time I'm going to do a response to Derek from Derek's Horror Corner, who asked me to do this horror collector tag response. And I do want to talk about horror collecting because I've collected a lot of movies, but I haven't collected a lot of memorabilia yet, like the NECA figures. But I do want to talk about horror collecting, so I'm glad that he tagged me in this because I really do want to talk about it. So starting out with number one, how long have you been collecting? In terms of movies, because I've got so many horror movies, I've been collecting since, say, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6 years. Maybe whenever I was 18 or 19. And my collection of horror has got way bigger, and this one stack right here on this shelf is just horror, and there's a couple more on the next one. But I've collected horror for, I guess, 5 or 6 years, and I really do love watching horror, finding new horror, so I always like to collect and find whatever is out there. Even if it's the most obscure horror thing, I'll try to get it, because even if it's cheap, like if it's cheap especially, I'll definitely do that. But I really love collecting horror movies. And the second question is, funny enough, how many horror movies do you own? I'd say a toss-up between, I'd say 300 or more, 300 to 400 in terms of horror movies. Like I said, I've been collecting for a long time, so I have a lot of them. I just haven't counted completely how many, but I'm assuming it's 300 or 400, because again, it's this one row right here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves worth of DVDs and Blu-rays, and then another 2 shelves on the next one of horror too. So there's gotta be, I think, 300 or 400. And number 3, what is your favorite company to collect movies and figures from? Movies, I'm going to go with what Derek said, Scream Factory. Amazing, like, horror company that releases all these movies. Re-releases all these cult movies, or movies that are big and just haven't had a proper release, or have had releases but they actually give you, like, special features and audio commentaries and everything, which I love to dive into on all types of movies. So I'm glad that it annoys me whenever we get a release of a movie, like, say, I really enjoyed The Strangers Prey at Night, but we didn't get anything on this except for a music video, and it says a look inside The Strangers Prey at Night, but it's not going to be anything that long. But, like, for example, we've got the Strangers Scream Factory Blu-ray, which has 2 cuts, new master, new audio commentary, and a couple of new features. So I like how Scream Factory can do this for these horror movies that, for a regular company like, say, Universal, that Strangers was from, they don't give the light of day in terms of special features. They just release them because they know people will watch them, but they don't care about special features or anything. So that's why Scream Factory to me is so important. And I really love all the ones I have. And this top row right here, and there's more, they're just right here, but the top row is all Scream Factory. So, and I'm always going to keep collecting those, because those are, even if I haven't seen the movie, I'll buy a Scream Factory release just to support them, because they do such a great job of giving these movies new life that wouldn't have gotten it from a major company. And then figures, my favorite company to collect figures. Now, horror figures, I have not collected many. Typically before this, I've collected so many Star Wars figures. Not really horror, but I've always wanted to, but the ones I've wanted were really expensive. And now, since I have gained a little money over the years, I have gotten a couple figures, and I have gotten the 2 NECA figures right here, the Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and the Jason from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Both awesome figures. Really just articulate, really good at how detailed they are, and they're expensive, but I think they're worth it if you're that big of a fan, because they're so utterly realistic that I think it actually really is worth it if you're a fan of horror, and if you're a fan of whatever you're going to buy in terms of these figures. So, number 4, do you collect merchandise, and if so, what kind? Right now, it's just horror movies and a couple figures. I want to get a lot more horror shirts. I really don't have any. I've got a couple Freddy and Jason shirts, but not. I don't have much, so I want to get more horror shirts. I really want a Friday the 13th Part 5 one because I love that movie. So I want one of those, and I want like other horror movies, even obscure ones that I want shirts for, because I think that would be cool just to show off something that I love in terms of like obscure horror. And then at number 5, do you own multiple copies of the same movie? And this is why this is not full right here, because I took some movies off right here. Now, I do this for a lot of franchises, but let's look at this right here. I've got Friday the 13th. Most of the original DVD releases, I don't have 1 and 3, but I've got, and these were all $2 at a pawn shop, so that's why I got these, because I've also got the copies, the deluxe copies on DVD, and then I've got the Blu-ray collection, and then I've got Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X, and Jason Goes to Hell down there too. But it's just the New Line one and the remake too. So, but that's not a multiple. So, a lot of franchises I do that. I did that with Chucky, I did that with Halloween too, as well. So I like to, only if it's cheap, I like to double dip. Like, for example, like those first editions of the Friday the 13th DVDs that were first released on DVD. I got these $2 at a pawn shop each, so that's why I spent money on these. It's just cool to have them, to have the different artwork. And I don't typically buy them if they're a lot of money and if they're the exact same thing, but that was a different case because it was $2 each, so I'm like, well, I can display those, that's cool to have. So I do double dip on horror movies, but they're not if they're expensive, just if they're like cheap circumstances like that. If they're the exact same movie and exact same special features and all that. Unless it's like a Scream Factory release, which of course I'll buy brand new, whatever it is, because there'll be new exclusive stuff to it that's probably never been seen the light of day. Number 5, I just did. Do you own multiple copies of the same movie? So number 6, what format do you collect for movies? Just anything. I've got DVD, Blu-ray, and I've also got, since I didn't grow up with horror, I mean, in terms of like, I didn't have them on VHS because I was born in the 90s, so I did have VHS tapes, but I was a kid, so I didn't have any horror movies. But now, since I have grown up, I do want to collect a lot more horror tapes, and I've only got 4 so far. Friday the 13th Part 6, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, 3, and Exorcist 2. So I've gotten just these 4 so far, but I want to collect more horror tapes because I didn't get to living in the 90s as an adult, because I wasn't an adult in the 90s. So I wish that I could have encountered watching horror on VHS, because I feel like that seems like a great way to watch horror. And if you're wondering why I didn't take that other VHS down, that's because it is the Stranger Things. It just looks like a VHS tape. It's the Blu-ray. So yeah, I do want to collect more VHS tapes, but typically it's Blu-ray, DVD, whatever the case. I will buy any 3 of those formats. Then number 7, what movie or merchandise do you want the most? Right now, since Halloween 2018 is coming out, I really want that NECA Michael Myers figure. Like, that looks awesome. Looks incredible. And I don't know when the street date for it is, and I have to drive somewhere to go to somewhere like an FYE, or I can buy it online, but it'll take longer. So whatever the case is, whenever that comes out, I'll have to go drive somewhere, which I'm totally fine with, but it'll take a while. But I want to get that really bad, that new Michael Myers. That looks incredible. Just like those other 2 figures. Like, looks so intricate and articulated. Just looks so cool. And other like horror merchandise, I guess, that is just more VHS tapes too, because I've only got 4. And I want to definitely collect all of the Friday and the Nightmare and the Halloween and the Exorcist ones, so I do want to collect more of those. And all of these ones I bought right here, these 4, were 50 cents each at this place I have in town. So it's a cheap endeavor. I'm wanting to get more, but, you know, I just haven't seen any more in a while. Because usually horror is not... Whenever I go find VHS tapes in places, there's usually not horror. There's usually the typical stuff, the typical like 90s VHS tapes that are not horror. So it sucks. I don't see much horror out in the wild, but I feel like horror is the most collectible in VHS form because the other movies like people don't care about as much. Like these, I feel like are made to be watched on VHS. So I think that's why I haven't found any more in the wild. But I want to get more VHS tapes of horror VHS tapes. All right, and then number 8. What is something rare and unique that you own? And again, that's why this shelf looks a little empty up there, is because the one thing that I own that I love and treasure is the Halloween box set, but the 15 disc deluxe edition, with all 9 of them, with this awesome cool booklet too, that comes with it. Like it just has all these behind the scenes photos and production stories. It's really, really cool. I really enjoyed this. Like I love this box set, and I got it for 115 bucks. And I've just watched these, and I already watched them before I owned this box set, but I've watched these infinite amount of more times since I bought this box set, because this is such a beautiful box set, such a great one, and these movies I love almost every one of them, almost, but that's my most rare, like, special one that I own. And I don't own the Friday the 13th one, which pisses me off, because like I said, I have the Blu-ray set of the first 8 that just came out this year, but they don't have Jason Goes to Hell, Jason Acts Freddy vs. Jason, because of the stupid disputes they're having with the creators. So it's like they're not going to make another box set, so that box set is like $400 new online, so it's horrible that I can't buy that ever. So I'm never going to spend that money on like that type of money on that box set, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, yeah, that's my most rare one, I think, the Halloween box set. But I really wanted the Friday the 13th one, but I didn't get that one. Number 9, what would you like released on Blu-ray that isn't out currently? Well, I was going to say Exorcist II: The Heretic, because I love that movie. I don't care what people say, but they just released it on Scream Factory like yesterday or the day before, so I'm gonna go get it sometime soon, maybe in the next week or two. So that's the one I wanted to see the most. Like seriously, like I love that movie, and I know everybody hates it, but I wanted to see a Scream Factory release of that. I guess if I wanted more Scream Factory releases, I guess I want the individual Chucky movies, like with more special features, because in the Chucky set, it's like you get, the first one has special features to it, and I do have the Scream Blu-ray too as well, but Child's Play 2, 3, and Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, I feel like especially 2 and 3, they have no special features at all. They're just bare bones. Getting a Scream Factory treatment, I want at least for 2 and 3. Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky have special features, but if they could do more and put more on them, then yeah, I'd get those on Scream Factory too. But Child's Play 2 and 3, I guess, is my answer. I really want to see, especially the TV cut. Like they've got, like with 2 and 3, they've got TV cuts where they got a lot of scenes that are only available on YouTube, so I'd like to see them in higher definition. And they've done that before with other movies like Halloween 6 with a horrible transfer and made it look amazing. So they can do that with Child's Play 2 and 3. So those would be something I'd want to see, like I'd really want to see come out. That isn't out currently. And 10, how far do you see your collection growing? I really don't know, but I just love collecting. I think it's fun. It's just a fun thing to do. I think it's just a fun hobby. So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't see how far I'd see this growing, but it always is. So we'll see how far it goes. So yeah, thank you, Derek, for the question, for tagging me with this response. And thanks anybody for watching. If anybody wants to do the same kind of tag, just tell me about it if you make one. So thanks guys for watching.